Why I keep going back. If you'd like to know, stick around. Pull up your chair, pour a mug. You're having coffee with the prophet. I like to deal, today I want to deal with this dream that's it's been going around on social media, on YouTube. It's the last month. It's been pretty much a buzz, a dream, dealing with going back to school, and I kind of like to put my own flavor or 2 cents into that because when we talk about going back to school, it's more than we look at. Sometimes it's more than one for. It's could be several reasons why that's happening and that's taking place in your life. And pay attention. Maybe God is trying to get your attention. Now, going back to school could be for several reasons, and I've heard there's different types of interpretations about it. That some I heard a guy said that be careful because if you go back to school, it means trouble or stagnation. It could mean that, but it don't just mean that by itself. It means several things. Going back to school could mean unresolved issues, things that you have to deal with or you have not quite dealt with in the past. Could represent situations when you was in school, perhaps you was getting bullied. There's certain things, communications with the teacher, a lot of different things. Could be perhaps there's some other issues dealing with the teacher, the authority. Sometimes there's certain behaviors that's behind a lot of those issues as far as going back to school. But what I want you to really pay attention to, a lot of times when we talk about interpreting the dream, you want to pretty much start where you're at that particular time. What I mean by that, a lot of times what we don't realize is what's going on in the spirit realm is a mirror to what's happening to your life. And a lot of times, if you pay attention, it's revealed first in the spirit realm before it actually takes place in the natural. So a lot of times it has a lot to do with where you're at in your life. Now, I do agree with this that having those dreams is a lot of times you pay attention to your life, you're not content. There's some things that's going on perhaps in your life. You're not satisfied. Perhaps with your job, some things you're dealing with in your could be relationships, what you're dealing with at this particular time. Now, we're at a time in life, and I want you to pay attention and really pay attention to your dream. That's why you could have two people have that same dream going back to school, and it could mean two different things from that aspect. And a lot of times, because there's a lot of things going on even now in society, there's things that with a lot of people look at things as being uncertain, unsure. We've got different things where there's things that's happening as far as even in the on the job in the job market, education, and everything else. We've got certain things such as one of the big buzz is AI, and a lot of times people are concerned about the AI. Now, they may think or in their life that perhaps I need to go back to get more training, even on my job, or even look at doing a different career from that aspect. So the going back is a lot of times what happens, it could represent really what it could represent going forward. Going back to school and finding yourself at a place and issues that you had to deal with at a child could represent certain things. Because here you have to look at something. Let's say you're a grown man, you're 50 years old, and you find yourself, 6, 7, 10 years old in your shorts sitting down in a classroom. So it represents certain things going backward, but moving forward to where you're at this particular time. Now, You may be looking at going to school, or even and how things and let me slow down a little bit. How things kind of follow us. You may have been the child that was in school, and you might have had certain learning issues to that degree, certain what they would call disabilities back in the day, but still you may learn different. And now you want to challenge yourself. You think about going back to school, or even a certain type of business, things that you want to do. Maybe you want to start a YouTube channel. Who knows? And what's happening? You're still coming up against that thing, perhaps where there was a label that was put on you. Now you've got to revisit that and realize that, wait a minute, can't nobody determine your destiny, or who your destiny from that aspect. And a lot of times what's happening, especially if you're anywhere in the category, I'm 67 years old. So a lot of times when we was younger, they had one or two ways, almost especially academically, to learn things. There's several ways now. So there could be things that you're struggling with at this particular time, even in life, as far as going forward. So you got to be able to resolve those issues. Who knows? Even whatever that teacher represent. Sometimes that teacher could represent that of authority in your life. And you're struggling with certain authority positions, even dealing with from an academic perspective. Whatever those things is, you have to be willing to, or be able to confront them face to face to go forward into your life. And a lot of times what happens is we're always going to come up with certain, we hit these, I don't want to say walls or what have you. And you may have been a person that even, you say, well, you know what? They never had much confidence in me when I was younger, but I'm going to prove to them what I can do. And up to this point, you might have been successful up to this point on some levels, but now you see things are changing, and you perhaps have to do things different, or perhaps you don't have the same drive to the degree that you've had. So you're finding that now it's like I done hit a brick wall. I've got to do things from a different place in a different aspect. So now to get past your fears, a lot of times our fears, certain things that's been placed upon us simply that had nothing to do with us. And one thing what I want you to realize, whomever I'm talking to, the older I get, I realize that a lot of times we carry a lot of other people's beliefs. I'm finding out now a lot of things that I grew up or what I thought was one way. In fact, a few years back, perhaps what I would argue and debate you with about, I'm not too sure now. So what I'm saying that things are always changing. Life is changing. You are evolving. You're going forward, or you should be evolving each and every day, especially the way things are changing from this aspect. So you find yourself now in perhaps something that's even transition. You're not sure what you need to do. So God is trying to get your attention. So through these dreams and what you really want to begin to understand, going back don't mean that it's not detrimental. Sometimes you have to take a few steps backwards to go forward into your destiny, what you've been called to do, what you've been ordained to do. And this is what you really want to see as far as really breaking those things down, as far as going to school and going back. Because truthfully, in life, we're always in school. You should always be learning, growing. So there's always a sense of schooling to that degree or that aspect. And those things, what happens is no one can really resolve the issues that perhaps you have to resolve. Now, you can have someone walk you along as a coach or interpreter, but there's the work that you have to do. So don't be in fear. One of the things what I try to do or try to relate with having Coffee with the Prophet is trying to just break things down to a degree where, from a fundamental perspective, where your average person understand. Because a lot of times when we get involved with dreams or interpretation of dreams, we're under the impression that you have to be a person that's real deep. Listen, if you're alive, you've got to learn to be sensitive. Either it's the Holy Spirit or insight. Some people, we call it the insight or whatever the case is. You have to really start paying attention. If God's giving you a dream, you can learn to interpret that. You can learn to really understand that prayerfully to moving forward. So I ask you again, is God trying to get your attention? When we talk about those dreams, that's what's happening. That's what's taking place. So the ministry of Joseph House is about unpacking those dreams. I've just unpacked those dreams for you today. This particular dream. Next week, we want to go into the dream room. We're in a dream room, we build solutions. So I don't like to just interpret a dream and just leave you sort of hanging. I like to now bring you to the next phase, which is the coaching aspect, where now we'll start talking about or dealing with insight in reference of the dreams that you've had or you're having. So I want you to really be mindful. Listen, while you at it, also, leave a comment, share. Let me know whether you feel that these videos is being a blessing to you in your life, because this is one of the main things. My perspective, my purpose is really to break dreams down, to agree with the average lay person can really understand those. My background, where I come from, and I could get mystic in dreams and things from that perspective as well. But what I've always found out that a lot of times the ones that's having those dreams, we take it up into more of a mystic where they don't understand. The whole idea about your dream, to walk it out for a reason so you can get to your purpose and what you've been called to and what you've been ordained to do here, right here on earth. That's one of the main things as far as the dreams and what we deal with at this particular time. Remember, there's purpose in your life. Always leave it like this. Acts 2:17. God says in the last days, pour his spirit among all flesh. Sons and daughters shall prophesy. Young men will see visions, and old men will dream dreams. Where do you find yourself at? I tell you what, it's important to continue to dream, because the dreamer has to hand it over to the visionary. Visionary have to run with it and carry it to the sons and daughters that will prophesy. There's so much left, so much that you have to give in life. So we will see you again. We will see you next week dealing with the dreams coming from the dream room. While we built solutions to your dream and to your life. Hey, you've been having coffee with the prophet.